Have you ever wondered why some people seem to absorb information like a sponge, while others spend 3 hours staring at the same page of a textbook without a single line sticking? It's easy to assume it's genetic, that some people are just born naturally smart. But modern neuroscience tells us a very different story. Learning isn't about innate intelligence, it's about mechanics. Most people fail at studying for two main reasons. 1. Inefficient memory systems. They use passive methods like rereading and highlighting that don't convert short-term memory into long-term recall. 2. Dopamine misalignment. Their brain views studying as a slow, painful grind compared to the hyper-stimulating digital world around them. In this video, we are fixing both. In the next 8 minutes, you will learn the exact techniques to memorize information up to 3 times faster and how to rewire your brain's dopamine reward pathways so that studying actually becomes addictive. Let's start with memorization. If you are reading a chapter, highlighting sentences, or writing neat summary notes, you are wasting up to 70% of your study time. Those are passive learning strategies. They create an illusion of competence. You recognize the text, so your brain tricks you into thinking you've memorized it. To store information rapidly, you need active friction.
1. Active recall and the blurting method.
Instead of reading a page 3 times, read it once with intense focus. Then close the book, take a blank sheet of paper, and write down every single detail, concept, and keyword you can remember from memory without looking. This is called active recall. When your brain struggles to pull information out of its neural pathways, it sends a strong biological signal to strengthen those synaptic connections. The harder the retrieval effort, the deeper the memory trace becomes. Once you've written down everything you can, open the book in a different colored pen and fill in the gaps you missed. That gap analysis is where real learning happens. In the late 19th century, psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered the forgetting curve. Without review, you lose roughly 50% to 70% of newly learned material within just 24 hours. To break this curve, you don't need to study longer. You just need to review at specific intervals. Test yourself on the material. 1 hour after learning, a day later, 3 days later, 1 week later. Each time you review right at the point where you're about to forget, the decay curve resets and flattens out, cementing the data directly into your long-term memory.
3. The visual anchor and the loci method.
The human brain did not evolve to remember abstract text or isolated formulas. It evolved to navigate physical spaces and identify visual patterns. If you need to memorize lists, sequences, or complex concepts, use the loci method, commonly known as the memory palace. Take a physical location you know by heart, like your home or your route to school. Place exaggerated, vivid, even absurd visual images representing each concept along that physical path. If you need to remember the order of elements or historical events, turn them into vivid scenes placed in your living room, kitchen, and hallway. When you need to retrieve the data during an exam, simply walk through the room in your mind. Visual anchors trigger immediate recall. Part 2. How to get addicted to studying. Now that you know how to memorize efficiently, let's solve the harder problem. How do you actually get yourself to sit down and do it enthusiastically? To make studying addictive, you have to understand dopamine. Dopamine is not the neurochemical of pleasure, it is the neurochemical of anticipation and pursuit. Video games and social media are addictive because they offer quick, unpredictable reward loops with zero friction. Studying feels hard because the reward is delayed by weeks, months, or years. To bridge this gap, you need to hack the mechanics of friction and immediate feedback.
1. Manage friction and lower activation energy.
Physics teaches us that static friction is always greater than kinetic friction. The hardest part of studying isn't the studying itself, it's starting. Use the 5-minute rule. Tell your brain, I am only going to study this topic for 5 minutes. If I want to stop after 5 minutes, I am fully allowed to stop. By lowering the barrier to entry, you bypass the amygdala's resistance response. In 90% of cases, once you overcome that initial static friction and enter a flow state, momentum takes over and you'll keep going for hours.
2. Create an immediate feedback loop, gamification.
Video games hook you because they constantly display progress bars, level-ups, and immediate rewards. Studying often feels like driving in the dark without a dashboard. So, Gamify your workflow. Break your study material into micro-tasks that take no more than 20 minutes each. Keep a physical, visible habit tracker or progress board. Every time you complete a task or active recall session, cross it off with a dark pen or move a physical token from one jar to another. Seeing tangible proof of progress releases a small hit of dopamine, creating a positive feedback loop that makes you want to complete the next item.
3. Environment design and dopamine reset.
You cannot out-willpower a toxic study environment. If your phone is sitting next to your textbook on silent, your brain is expending precious cognitive energy constantly resisting the instant gratification pull of notification lights. Before you sit down to study, put your phone in another room or turn it completely off. Clean your workspace so there are zero physical distractions. Eliminate alternative sources of cheap dopamine during your dedicated study window. When your brain realizes that the only available source of stimulation in the room is the material in front of you, studying suddenly stops feeling boring. It becomes interesting. Studying is not a test of your willpower, and memorization is not a genetic trait. They are technical skills that respond directly to effective systems. To recap the system: 1. Stop reading passively. Use active recall and spaced repetition to build real memory pathways. 2. Turn abstract data into visual scenes using memory palaces. 3. Lower your friction with the 5-minute rule. And 4. Track your progress visually to trigger dopamine and protect your focus by clearing your environment of cheap distractions. When you master the mechanics of your own cognitive hardware, studying stops being a chore you have to endure and becomes a game you know how to win. Set your environment, pick up the sheet of paper, start your 5 minutes today, and watch how fast your output changes.